What's up, guys? This is Nick from Arch City Poker, and in today's vlog, going to be continuing the How to Beat Live Low Stakes Poker series with today's topic covering playing deep stacked. So, for a lot of you guys that have played live poker or primarily play live poker, you understand that live games tend to play a lot deeper than online games or compared to your standard 100 big blind buy in games. A lot of rooms allow players to buy in up to 200 big blinds, if not more. Like the more mid stakes games will be sometimes even uncapped. So I think these games, they definitely tend to get deeper. And a lot of players don't understand how to adjust to a deep stack game and what types of hands they should be careful with, what types of hands they should start adding to their ranges pre-flop, and how they should adjust post-flop. So essentially, pre-flop, you always want to be in position as often as possible in poker. That's very obvious for very obvious reasons, I guess. But when games are very deep stack, when effective stacks are quite deep, position is even more vital. The player in position has even a larger advantage than normal. This is due to being able to put maximum amount of pressure on your opponent with the simple fact that, or the simple fact being that there's just so much money left behind that you can really put your opponent in not only just one tough spot often post flop, but you can put him in many tough spots. And especially if your opponents have a range that is very heavy with top pair, top kicker types of hands and like over pairs, it's going to be tough for them to continue on a lot of different types of board textures, especially if they start leading out on the flop when they're out of position too often. They'll automatically put themselves in the spot where they're bloating the pot with a hand that often is going to be put to the test by tough and good players that are in position when stacks are deep. The deep stacked scenarios, these high SPR scenarios, they favor, like I said, not only the players in position, but they favor hands that have more drawing potential and hands that can barrel with equity, hands that can make big hands post flop. So these hands, I think a lot of you guys already know, but they're going to be stuff like small to mid pairs, lots of suited connectors and suited gappers that allow you to flop nuttish draws, allow you to have some two pair hands that can really break some over pairs. Straights and flushes and sets are obviously going to be the types of hands that you're looking to make, but hands that decrease in value are going to be your big pair and then your broadways, your big aces, your one pair types of hands that are not going to be able to withstand a lot of pressure, as I said, post flop when SPRs are going to be high and there's a lot of money left behind. So if you find yourself in a position where, let's say there's a pre-flop raiser out of position, let's say there's two callers, and then you look down at king, queen offsuit, and there's still some players left to act behind you, that's a hand I would suggest folding if your table is quite deep. That hand is not going to flop well enough, often enough in this type of scenario with these deep stacks. It's not a hand that plays real well multi-way anyway, but your best case scenario is often flopping a king or queen. But if the board comes, pretty well connected, or if there's a lot of action with a lot of money left behind, it's going to be tough for you to get all the money in by the river on all three streets and have the best hand. It's going to be very hard to be profitable that way. A hand that you'd much rather be in there with is a hand like 9-8 suited or a hand like pocket fives. Hands that, like I said, can flop possibly very huge, or hands that allow you to have, I guess, more playability post flop and an easier time playing your hand post flop. You won't be in as many indifferent and difficult situations. With pocket fives, for example, if you don't flop a set, you can often just get out of the hand on the flop and not have to worry about being dominated or being indifferent about continuing and not realizing your equity. If you flop a set, though, on that same king or queen high board I was talking about, you're going to often win a lot of money off of a player that has king queen and doesn't understand that the deep stack scenario does not favor his type of hand. So generally, the point I'm trying to make, I guess, these are all kind of generalities as far as deep stack play, but you want to start adding hands to your range, especially in position, that give you really good drawing potential or the ability to flop big hands, like two pair plus types of hands. And Something that I should note real quick also is deep stacks favor players in position that want to 3-bet more. You should be 3-betting more often than you are in a standard 100 big blind effective stack scenario because, like I said, you have the ability to put a lot of pressure on your opponents from in position, and it's going to be hard for them to continue often. If they call the 3-bets too often with these deep stacks and there's still so much money left behind, you're going to put them in a lot of really tough spots post flop. So play in position and take advantage of position and be more aggressive in position more often than not compared to a 100 big blind stack scenario. Play hands that, sorry, I lost my train of thought there, guys. Play hands, like I said, that have the ability to flop draws and flop on the types of board textures that give you guys a lot of fold equity, or hands that could be 2-pair plus. Avoid playing lots of offsuit broadways, lots of even stuff like ace-jack offsuit, ace-10. Be careful about being in there with a hand like ace-queen offsuit. Try to get those pots more heads up and get the SPR lower pre-flop if you can, because these deep stack scenarios are not going to favor those types of hands, like I said. So if you guys have any questions or comments about this vlog and this topic, it's a very popular concept and topic that I think a lot of players ask me about, and I see in forums and such about playing deep stack. It's just a matter of being a little more cautious with your hands that don't play well in high SPR pots, and then being more aggressive in position and really being a much tougher player and making it hard on your opponents to continue from out of position when these stacks are so deep. So like I said, if you have any questions or comments, guys, let me know. Let me know if you want to add anything as far as your own personal strategies or experiences in deep stack games and what you guys like to do. Until next time, this is Nick from Arch City Poker. Take care.